The sunlight streaming through the bedroom curtains felt different that morning. Maybe it was the way it hit the empty space beside me in bed. Or maybe it was the silence where there should have been whispered apologies and desperate explanations. Marcus had come home at 3 a.m., slipping into bed like a shadow, thinking I was asleep. But I'd been lying there for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying the evening that should have been ours. Yesterday was supposed to be our 5th anniversary. 5 years since Marcus had nervously asked me to be his girlfriend over coffee at that little cafe near campus. 5 years of building a life together, of shared dreams and intertwined futures. 5 years that apparently meant less to him than Sophia Chen's 26th birthday party. I rolled over and grabbed my phone from the nightstand. 43 unread messages in our group chat from last night, filled with party photos and videos I couldn't bring myself to look at. Instead, I scrolled to my message thread with my sister Emma. Emma, how did dinner go? Did he love the watch? The Rolex I'd saved for months to buy him sat in its velvet box on my dresser, still wrapped. I'd planned to give it to him over candlelight at Romano's, the same restaurant where we'd had our first official date. The reservation I'd made 6 weeks ago, the reservation he'd forgotten about completely. Me. He didn't show. My phone rang immediately. What do you mean he didn't show? Emma's voice was sharp with disbelief. Exactly what I said. I sat up in bed, pulling my knees to my chest. I waited for 2 hours. The waiter kept asking if I wanted to order, and I kept saying my boyfriend was just running late. Do you know how humiliating that was? Where was he? I closed my eyes, still feeling the sting of seeing his Instagram story at 11 p.m. Marcus laughing, his arm around Sophia as she blew out candles on an elaborate cake. The comments from our mutual friends. Best party ever. Marcus, you're such a good friend for organizing this. Sophia's so lucky to have someone who cares this much. Sophia's birthday party, the one he's been planning for weeks, the one he somehow forgot was on our anniversary. Emma was quiet for a moment. Did you talk to him when he got home? He tried to explain, but I pretended to be asleep. I can't deal with his excuses right now. Lily, this is serious. You two need to. I know. I cut her off, hearing footsteps in the hallway. I have to go. He's awake. I hung up and quickly set my phone aside, closing my eyes just as the bedroom door creaked open. Marcus moved around quietly, probably thinking he was being considerate. I heard the soft thud of clothes hitting the hamper, the whisper of hangers in the closet. Normal morning sounds that felt anything but normal. Lily? His voice was tentative. I know you're awake. I opened my eyes but didn't turn around. Through the mirror on the opposite wall, I could see him sitting on the edge of the bed, his hair still messy from sleep, wearing the Princeton t-shirt I'd gotten him for his birthday last year. We need to talk, he said. Do we? I finally turned to face him. Because it seems like you had more important things to do than talk yesterday. Marcus's face crumpled. Baby, I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know there's no excuse, but... I sat up fully, crossing my arms. But what, Marcus? But Sophia needed you more? But her birthday was more important than 5 years of us? But I should understand that I come second to your college friend? That's not fair. You know Sophia's going through a rough time with the divorce. And I'm going through a rough time with my boyfriend forgetting our anniversary. The words came out louder than I intended, sharp and bitter. Do you have any idea what last night was like for me? Sitting alone at our table, watching other couples celebrate while I made excuses for why you weren't there? Marcus reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I tried calling you, he said. My phone died, and when I realized what time it was, your phone was working fine when you were posting on Instagram. He had the grace to look ashamed. Sophia was posting those. I wasn't even thinking about social media. I was just trying to help her have a good night. And what about helping me have a good night? What about helping us have a good night? I know I screwed up, but you have to understand she's been so depressed since David moved out. She needed... Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. Do you hear yourself right now? You're still defending her. You're still making excuses for why she needed you more than I did on our anniversary. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his shoulders sagging. What do you want me to say, Lily? I'm sorry. I'm incredibly, completely sorry. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if you can... The words hung between us like a verdict. Marcus's eyes widened, and I saw something that might have been panic flicker across his face. Don't say that. Please don't say that. One mistake doesn't erase 5 years. Doesn't it? I stood up, needing distance between us. Because this wasn't just one mistake, Marcus. This was a choice. You chose to prioritize her birthday over our anniversary. You chose not to set a reminder. You chose not to think about what this day meant to us. And when you realized your mistake, you chose to stay at her party instead of coming to find me. I looked for you at the restaurant. At midnight, Marcus. You looked for me at midnight, 3 hours after our reservation, after the restaurant had closed. That's not looking for me. That's covering your ass. I walked to the dresser and picked up the jewelry box, turning it over in my hand. Such a small thing to represent such a large gesture. Months of putting aside money from my marketing job, researching which model he'd admired, having it engraved with our anniversary date. I got you something, I said quietly. Marcus's face lit up with hope and guilt in equal measure. Lily, you didn't have to. I wanted to. I opened the box, revealing the watch. It's the Submariner you showed me in the store window downtown. I had it engraved. He stood up slowly like he was approaching a wild animal. When he reached for the box, his hands were shaking. To Marcus, he read aloud. 5 years of love, forever to go. L. His voice cracked on the last word. I planned this entire evening, I continued, setting the box back down. I made reservations 6 weeks ago. I bought a new dress. I even arranged for your favorite dessert from that bakery in Brooklyn. I wanted it to be perfect because I thought 5 years deserved something perfect. It does, we do. He stepped closer. Lily, please, tell me how to fix this. I'll do anything. You can't fix it. The certainty in my own voice surprised me. You can't take back choosing her over me. You can't take back the fact that, when it came down to it, her happiness mattered more to you than mine. That's not true. Then why? I turned to face him fully. Why did you forget? And don't tell me you just lost track of time or your phone died. Tell me the real reason why Sophia's birthday was on your calendar but our anniversary wasn't. Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. We stared at each other across the growing distance between us, and I saw the exact moment he realized he didn't have a good answer. I don't know, he whispered. I do. I picked up my phone and started getting dressed. You forgot because it didn't matter to you as much as it mattered to me. You forgot because you take us for granted. You forgot because somewhere along the way you stopped seeing me as a priority. Where are you going? Out. I need to think. Lily, please don't leave like this. Can't we work through this together? I paused at the bedroom door, looking back at him standing there in his t-shirt and boxers, holding a watch that was supposed to represent our future. I've been working through this alone since 7 p.m. yesterday, I said. What's a few more hours? 2 hours later, I was sitting in Central Park with my two best friends, Emma and Zoe, dissecting the previous 24 hours over coffee and pastries that none of us were really eating. I still can't believe he actually forgot, Zoe said, shaking her head. I mean, who forgets their anniversary? Especially a 5th anniversary? Someone who's got his head up another woman's ass, Emma replied bluntly, earning a sharp look from me. She's not wrong, Zoe said. Lily, how long has he been this involved in Sophia's life? I thought about it, tracing patterns in the condensation on my iced coffee cup. Since her divorce started, I guess. That was about 6 months ago. And how involved is involved? He helped her move out of David's place. He's been going to her therapy appointments as emotional support. He organized this whole birthday party, obviously. He brings her food when she's too depressed to cook. I paused, realizing how it sounded laid out like that. But they're just friends. They've been friends since sophomore year of college. Emma and Zoe exchanged a look. What? I demanded. Nothing, Emma said quickly. It's just what? Honey, Zoe said gently. That's not just friendship. That's more. They're not sleeping together. The words came out more defensively than I'd intended. Maybe not, Emma said, but he's emotionally cheating on you. Don't be ridiculous. Think about it, Lily. He's meeting her emotional needs, spending time with her, making her a priority in his life. He's doing relationship things with her while neglecting his actual relationship with you. I wanted to argue, but the words stuck in my throat. How many evenings had Marcus canceled our plans because Sophia needed him? How many times had I fallen asleep alone because he was on the phone talking her through a crisis? How many conversations had we cut short because she was texting him? Even if that's true, I said finally, what am I supposed to do about it? Give him an ultimatum? Tell him he can't be friends with her anymore. Why not? Emma asked. Because that's not who I am. I'm not going to be the girlfriend who controls who he can and can't see. But you can be the girlfriend who has standards, Zoe pointed out. You can be the girlfriend who expects to be treated like a priority. I thought I was being understanding, supportive. You were being a doormat, Emma said, not unkindly, and I say that with love. I stared across the park, watching a couple walk by hand in hand, laughing about something on one of their phones. They looked so easy together, so naturally connected. When had Marcus and I stopped looking like that? What did he say when you confronted him this morning? Zoe asked. All the usual things. He's sorry, he messed up, he wants to fix it. And I don't think he can. The admission felt like letting air out of a balloon I'd been holding inflated for months. I don't think he even understands what he's done wrong. He sees it as one mistake, but I see it as the culmination of months of being second place in my own relationship. So what's your next move? I pulled out my phone and stared at the screen. 17 missed calls from Marcus since I'd left the apartment. 23 text messages I hadn't opened. I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to go home and pretend last night never happened. Part of me wants to have a big fight and get it all out in the open. And part of me wants to pack my stuff and disappear. What does your gut tell you? Emma asked. My gut told me that something fundamental had shifted in the last 24 hours. That the woman who had waited alone at Romano's wasn't the same woman sitting in Central Park now. That woman had been patient, understanding, willing to make excuses for the person she loved. This woman was tired of making excuses. My gut tells me I deserve better than this, I said. Then listen to your gut, Zoe said. My phone buzzed with another text from Marcus. This time, I opened it. Marcus, please come home. I want to show you something. He wants me to come home, I told them. He wants to show me something. Probably some grand gesture he's thrown together to try to make up for last night, Emma said cynically. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Zoe said, earning a surprised look from Emma. I mean, at least he's trying to make an effort now. Too little, too late, don't you think? Maybe, but Lily should decide that for herself. I stood up, brushing pastry crumbs off my jeans. I guess I should go see what he's come up with. Do you want us to come with you? Emma asked. Moral support. No, I need to handle this myself. I hugged them both. But keep your phones on, okay? I might need emergency extraction. We'll be ready, Zoe promised. As I walked back toward the subway, my phone rang. Marcus's name appeared on the screen, and for a moment I considered not answering. But avoidance had gotten me into this mess in the first place. Hello? Thank God. I was starting to worry you'd never speak to me again. The jury's still out on that one. Please come home, Lily. I know I don't deserve it, but please, give me a chance to show you how sorry I am. There was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Not just regret, but fear. Real, genuine fear that he might lose me. Fine, I said. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Thank you. I love you. I hung up without saying it back. The apartment smelled like roses when I opened the door. Red roses everywhere. On the coffee table, the dining table, the kitchen counter. There had to be at least 50 arrangements filling our living space with their sweet, heavy scent. Marcus, I called out. In here, came his voice from the bedroom. I followed the trail of rose petals down the hallway, feeling like I was walking through a romantic comedy montage. The bedroom door was open, revealing more flowers and what looked like every candle we owned flickering on various surfaces. Marcus stood in the center of it all, wearing the suit he'd worn to his sister's wedding last year, the navy blue one I'd helped him pick out. In his hands was a small velvet box. My heart stopped. Before you say anything, he said quickly, just let me talk, please. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. Go ahead. I've been thinking all morning about what you said, about priorities and choices and taking you for granted. And you're right. You're absolutely right. He took a step closer. I got so caught up in being Sophia's hero that I forgot I was supposed to be yours. Marcus, no, let me finish. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I don't deserve you. But I also know that I love you more than I've ever loved anyone in my life. And the thought of losing you is killing me. He dropped to one knee. Oh my God. The words escaped me in a whisper. Lily Marie Thompson, will you marry me? The world seemed to slow down. The flickering candles, the overwhelming scent of roses, Marcus's hopeful face looking up at me. It was everything I'd dreamed of, and nothing like I'd wanted it to be. Get up, I said quietly. What? Get up, Marcus, please. He stood slowly, confusion replacing hope in his expression. I don't understand. We've talked about marriage. We have. We've talked about marriage. We've talked about kids and houses and growing old together. We've talked about a lot of things. I walked past him to sit on the edge of the bed. But we've never talked about respect. I respect you. Of course I respect you. Do you? Because proposing to me 24 hours after forgetting our anniversary doesn't feel like respect. It feels like panic. Marcus sank into the chair across from me, still holding the ring box. I know the timing is terrible. The timing is manipulative. The words came out harsher than I'd intended, but I didn't take them back. You think if you overwhelm me with flowers and candlelight and a proposal, I'll forget that you chose another woman over me yesterday? I would never, wouldn't you? I stood up, suddenly needing space between us. Tell me something, Marcus. When did you buy this ring? He was quiet for a long moment. This morning. This morning. So you ran out and bought an engagement ring this morning as damage control. I've been thinking about proposing for months. But you didn't. You thought about it, but you didn't do it. Just like you thought about our anniversary, but didn't remember it. I walked to the window, looking out at the street below. Do you see the pattern here? Marcus set the ring box on the nightstand and came to stand behind me. I could feel his presence, warm and familiar, but for the first time in 5 years, it didn't comfort me. I love you, he said simply. I know you do. I love you too. But love isn't enough, Marcus. Love without respect is just obsession. Love without priority is just convenience. Love without effort is just habit. Then tell me how to fix it. Tell me what you need. I turned to face him, and the look in his eyes almost broke my resolve. Almost. I need you to understand that you can't fix 5 months of neglect with 50 roses. I need you to understand that proposing to me right now is insulting, not romantic. And I need you to understand that if we're going to have any chance of moving forward, you need to make some serious changes in how you handle your relationship with Sophia. Something shifted in his expression, a wall going up. What does that mean? It means boundaries, Marcus, real boundaries. It means she can't be your first priority anymore. It means you can't drop everything every time she needs something. It means you want me to abandon my friend when she's going through the worst time of her life. It means I want you to remember that you have a girlfriend who should come first sometimes. It means I want you to consider my feelings before you make decisions that affect our relationship. I can't just cut Sophia out of my life, Lily. She needs me. And I need you too, but apparently that doesn't matter as much. We stared at each other across a chasm that seemed to widen with every word. In that moment, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. Marcus would rather lose me than disappoint Sophia. You're making me choose, he said quietly. No, I'm not. I'm asking you to find a balance. I'm asking you to treat our relationship like it matters. But if you see that as me making you choose, then maybe you've already made your choice. Marcus's phone buzzed on the dresser. We both looked at it, and I could see Sophia's name on the screen even from across the room. Marcus glanced at it, then at me, then back at the phone. Answer it, I said. What? Answer it. She obviously needs something. Lily, no. We're talking. This is important. The phone stopped buzzing, then immediately started again. Answer it, Marcus. He picked up the phone reluctantly. Hey, Soph. What? Slow down. Okay, I'll be right there. He hung up and turned to me with an expression I'd seen too many times before, torn between duty and desire, responsibility and relationship. Her car broke down, he said. She's stranded at the grocery store and she's having a panic attack. I need to. You need to go, I finished for him. Come with me. We can continue this conversation after. No. I walked past him toward the closet and pulled out my suitcase. I'm done continuing this conversation. What are you doing? I'm leaving. Leaving, or just leaving for tonight? I stopped packing and looked at him. Really looked at him. The man I'd loved for 5 years, the man I'd planned a future with, the man who was about to choose his friend over his girlfriend for the 100th time. I don't know yet. Marcus watched me fold clothes into the suitcase, his hands hanging helplessly at his sides. This is crazy, Lily. We can work through this. We love each other. Love isn't enough. I zipped the suitcase closed and grabbed my purse from the dresser. I've been trying to make love be enough for months, but it's not. I need to be with someone who chooses me, Marcus, not someone who has to be convinced to choose me. I choose you. I'm here, aren't I? I bought a ring. I got flowers. You bought a ring to keep me from leaving. You got flowers to apologize for hurting me. That's not choosing me. That's damage control. I headed for the bedroom door, then stopped. And now you're going to leave to rescue Sophia, which tells me everything I need to know about your priorities. She's having a panic attack. So am I. The words exploded out of me, loud enough that I was sure the neighbors heard. I'm having a 5-month-long panic attack watching my boyfriend fall in love with someone else while pretending it's just friendship? But you don't see that because her needs are always louder than mine. Marcus flinched like I'd slapped him. I'm not falling in love with Sophia. Maybe not. But you're falling out of love with me and using her as the excuse. I walked out of the bedroom, through the living room full of roses that already seemed to be wilting in the afternoon heat, and toward the front door. Where are you going to go? Marcus called after me. I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Somewhere I matter. You matter to me. Not enough. The door closed behind me with a soft click, and I heard the sound of my relationship ending. Emma's couch was surprisingly comfortable for being 15 years old and covered in cat hair. Her ancient tabby, Mr. Whiskers, had taken an immediate liking to me, or rather to my suitcase, which he'd claimed as his new bed within minutes of my arrival. He's called 12 times in the last hour, Emma said, setting a cup of tea beside me on the coffee table. I know. I'd been watching my phone light up and go dark in a rhythm that was starting to feel like torture. I turned the sound off. Are you going to talk to him? Eventually, I guess, but not yet. I need time to think without him trying to convince me I'm overreacting. Emma curled up in the chair across from me, tucking her feet under her. Are you overreacting? It was a fair question. Sitting in the calm of my sister's apartment with Mr. Whiskers purring against my leg and the scent of roses finally fading from my clothes, it was easy to wonder if I'd been too dramatic. Easy to think about the good times, the inside jokes, the way Marcus's face lit up when I walked into a room. I don't think so, I said finally. I think I've been underreacting for months. What do you mean? I pulled up my phone and scrolled through my text messages with Marcus from the past few weeks. Look at this. Can't make dinner tonight. Sophia needs help painting her new place. Sorry, running late. Had to drive Sophia to pick up her car from the shop. Change of plans for Saturday. Promised I'd help Sophia move her furniture. Emma looked at the messages, her expression growing more concerned with each one. This is just from the past 3 weeks, I continued. There are months of this. Months of him canceling our plans, cutting our conversations short, rearranging his schedule around her needs. And you never said anything? I tried to be understanding. I tried to be the cool girlfriend who doesn't get jealous of her boyfriend's female friends. But somewhere along the way, being understanding became being invisible. My phone buzzed with a text. This time it wasn't from Marcus. Sophia, hey, I know this is weird, but Marcus told me what happened. I'm so sorry. I never meant to cause problems between you two. I stared at the message for a long moment before showing it to Emma. Oh, hell no, Emma said immediately. She does not get to play innocent victim in this. Maybe she is innocent. Maybe she really didn't know. Lily, stop. Just stop making excuses for everyone else and think about yourself for 5 minutes. I don't know how to do that anymore. The admission surprised me with its honesty. I've spent so long trying to be what everyone else needed that I forgot what I needed. What do you need? I thought about it, really thought about it, for maybe the first time in months. I need to feel important to the person I love. I need to feel chosen, not just tolerated. I need to be with someone who gets excited about our plans instead of looking for reasons to cancel them. I paused, letting the words settle. I need to be with someone who would never forget our anniversary because it matters too much to them. Those aren't unreasonable things to want. Then why do I feel so guilty for wanting them? Emma was quiet for a moment, considering her answer. Because you've been trained to believe that having standards makes you difficult. That expecting to be treated well makes you demanding. But it doesn't, Lily. It makes you human. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Sophia. Sophia, I know you probably hate me right now, but I really need to talk to you. Can we meet for coffee? She wants to meet, I told Emma. Are you going to? I don't know. Part of me is curious about what she has to say. Part of me thinks it's a trap. What kind of trap? The kind where she convinces me that I'm the problem, that I'm being jealous and insecure, and if I were just more understanding, everything would be fine. And what if she does? Then I guess I'll have to decide whether I believe her or trust my own instincts. My phone rang, startling both of us. This time it was Zoe. Hey, I answered. I just saw Marcus at the coffee shop near your apartment, she said without preamble. He looks like hell, and he's been asking everyone if they've seen you. I'm at Emma's. I figured. Listen, I know you probably don't want to hear this right now, but he really does look devastated. Good. Lily, I'm sorry, that was mean. But Zoe, I can't worry about how he's feeling right now. I spent 5 years worrying about how he was feeling, and it got me a boyfriend who forgot our anniversary. Fair point. Zoe was quiet for a moment. So what's your plan? Are you going to stay at Emma's indefinitely? I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. Do you think there's any chance you two can work this out? It was the question I'd been avoiding all day, the question that made my chest tight and my eyes burn. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe, but not unless something fundamental changes, and I don't think Marcus understands what that something is. What would have to change? Everything. His priorities, his boundaries with Sophia, his understanding of what a relationship should look like. And I don't know if people can change that much. After I hung up, Emma and I sat in comfortable silence for a while. Mr. Whiskers had relocated to my lap, and his purring was oddly soothing. Can I ask you something? Emma said eventually. Sure. When was the last time you were really happy in your relationship with Marcus? I opened my mouth to say something like yesterday or last week, but the words wouldn't come. I scrolled back through my memories, looking for moments of genuine joy, not just contentment or familiarity. New Year's Eve, I said finally. We went to that party at Jake's apartment, and Marcus spent the whole night making sure I was having fun. He got me drinks, introduced me to people, danced with me even though he hates dancing. And when the countdown started, he pulled me outside onto the fire escape so we could have our own private celebration. That was 8 months ago. I know. What happened after that? I thought about it. Sophia filed for divorce in January. Marcus got really involved in helping her through it, and everything kind of shifted after that. So for 8 months, you've been unhappy and you've been telling yourself it was temporary? I guess so. The realization hit me like a cold wave. Oh God, Emma, I've been unhappy for 8 months and I didn't even admit it to myself. That's what happens when you're a people pleaser. You get so good at adapting to other people's needs that you forget you have needs too. I looked down at my phone, which had lit up with another call from Marcus. This time, I didn't ignore it. Hello, I said. Thank God, Lily, where are you? I've been going crazy. I'm safe. That's all you need to know right now. Can we please talk? I went to get Sophia, but I came straight back. I want to work this out. Marcus, I need some time. How much time? I don't know, maybe a lot. He was quiet for a long moment. Are you breaking up with me? I don't know, I said, and meant it. I honestly don't know. Don't give up on us, Lily. Please, we can fix this. Maybe, but not today. I hung up before he could respond and immediately turned my phone off. Emma was watching me with a mixture of pride and concern. How do you feel? Terrible, and relieved, and terrified. I laughed, but it came out shaky. Is it possible to feel all of those things at once? Absolutely. It means you're making a brave choice instead of an easy one. I don't feel brave. I feel like I'm ruining the best thing that ever happened to me over one stupid mistake. Or you're finally standing up for yourself after months of being taken for granted. Perspective is everything, Lily. That night, I lay on Emma's couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about perspective. From Marcus's perspective, he was a good friend helping someone through a difficult time, and I was being unreasonable. From Sophia's perspective, she was just accepting help from a caring friend, and I was the jealous girlfriend causing drama. But from my perspective, I was a woman who had spent 8 months watching her relationship crumble, while everyone told her she should be more understanding. For the first time in a long time, I decided my perspective was the one that mattered most. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet Sophia at a neutral location, a busy Starbucks in Midtown where the ambient noise would prevent any dramatic scenes. I arrived 15 minutes early and claimed a table in the back corner, positioned so I could see the door. She walked in at exactly 3 o'clock, scanning the crowd until she spotted me. Sophia was beautiful in that effortless way that made other women feel like they were trying too hard. Today she looked tired. Her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. "Thank you for coming," she said, sliding into the chair across from me. "I wasn't sure you would." I almost didn't. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. I studied her face, looking for signs of guilt or malice, but all I saw was exhaustion. "I ordered you a latte," she said, pushing a cup toward me. 2 sugars, oat milk. That's still how you take it, right? The fact that she knew my coffee order felt like a small violation. How many conversations had she and Marcus had about me? How many details of my life had been shared between them? "Thanks," I said, taking a sip. "I owe you an apology," Sophia began. "A big one. I've been selfish and thoughtless, and I've hurt your relationship with Marcus." "Have you?" I kept my voice neutral, curious to hear her version of events. "I have. I've been leaning on him too much since the divorce started, I know that. But I was so lonely and scared. And Marcus is, such a good friend. He made me feel less alone." "And you didn't think about how that might affect his girlfriend?" Sophia had the grace to look ashamed. "Honestly? No. I was so wrapped up in my own problems that I didn't think about anyone else. That's not an excuse, it's just the truth." I appreciated her honesty, even if it stung. "What about yesterday? His anniversary?" "I didn't know it was your anniversary when I planned the party. I just picked a date that worked for everyone, and Marcus said he was free." She paused, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup. "But I found out later, one of our mutual friends mentioned it, and I realized what had happened. And I should have told Marcus to leave. I should have insisted he go find you. But I was having such a good time, and everyone was there for me, and I—" She stopped, shaking her head. "I was selfish again." Yes, you were." We sat in silence again. I watched people come and go, living their normal lives, dealing with their normal problems. A part of me envied them their simplicity. "Marcus is miserable," Sophia said eventually. "I'm sure he is." "He loves you so much, Lily. He talks about you constantly, how smart you are, how kind, how you make him want to be a better person." If that's true, why didn't he show up for our anniversary? Sophia was quiet for a long moment, stirring her coffee in slow circles. "Because I made it easy for him to take you for granted," she said finally. "You were always understanding, always patient. I was the crisis that needed solving. It's human nature to focus on the squeaky wheel." "So I should have been less understanding, more demanding?" "Maybe. Or maybe Marcus should have been more aware. Maybe I should have been less needy. Maybe we all could have handled this better." She looked up at me, and I saw something that might have been regret in her eyes. But we can't change what happened. We can only decide what happens next. What do you think should happen next? I think I need to step back. Give you and Marcus space to figure things out without me in the middle. And if he objects to that, then he's not the friend I thought he was. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or hidden agendas, but Sophia looked genuinely remorseful, genuinely willing to change her behavior. Why now? I asked. Why are you suddenly willing to step back? Because Marcus showed up at my apartment last night crying, she said simply. I've seen him sad before, seen him stressed, but I've never seen him broken. And I realized that I've been so focused on my own heartbreak that I didn't notice I was contributing to his. He was crying. For hours. He kept saying he'd ruined everything, that he'd lost the best thing in his life over his own stupidity. He showed me the ring he bought, told me about the proposal that went wrong. Sophia paused, meeting my eyes. Lily, I've never seen someone look so lost. Despite everything, my heart ached for him. 5 years of loving someone doesn't disappear overnight, no matter how badly they've hurt you. The ring was panic-motivated, I said. It wasn't romantic, it was manipulative. I know, I told him that. You did? I told him that proposing to fix a relationship problem was like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. I told him that if he really loved you, he needed to figure out why he forgot your anniversary in the first place, not just try to make you forget that he forgot. I was surprised by her insight. What did he say? He said he didn't know why he forgot, that it wasn't that your anniversary didn't matter to him, it was that my problems felt more urgent, more immediate. The squeaky wheel. Exactly. Sophia leaned forward slightly. But here's the thing, Lily, I've been squeaking for 8 months. At some point, that stops being about my divorce and starts being about something else. What do you mean? I mean, maybe I kept creating crises because I liked having Marcus rush to save me. Maybe I liked feeling important to someone again after David made me feel worthless for so long. She took a shaky breath. And maybe Marcus liked being my hero because it was easier than dealing with the regular, everyday work of maintaining a long-term relationship. Her words hit me like a physical blow because they rang so true. The thrill of being needed, of being someone's savior, was intoxicating. It was immediate gratification in a way that steady, committed love wasn't. So where does that leave us? I asked. It leaves me in therapy, working on my own issues instead of making them Marcus's responsibility. It leaves Marcus having to decide what he really wants. And it leaves you having to decide whether you want to give him another chance. What do you think I should do? Sophia smiled sadly. I think you should do whatever makes you happy. Not whatever makes Marcus happy, not whatever makes me feel less guilty, but whatever genuinely makes you happy. You've spent long enough considering everyone else's feelings. She stood up, gathering her purse and jacket. For what it's worth, I think Marcus can change. I think he wants to change. But he has to want it for the right reasons, not just to get you back. Sophia, I called as she turned to leave, why did you really want to meet with me? She paused, looking back at me. Because I needed to look you in the eye and apologize. Because I needed to admit that I knew what I was doing, even if I didn't want to admit it to myself. And because I needed to promise you that I'm going to do better. And if Marcus doesn't want you to step back, then that tells you everything you need to know about his priorities, doesn't it? After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, thinking about everything she'd said. About squeaky wheels and hero complexes, and the difference between being needed and being loved. My phone had been buzzing intermittently throughout our conversation. When I finally checked it, I had 17 missed messages from Marcus, all variations on the same theme. He was sorry. He wanted to talk. He would do anything to fix this. For the first time in 2 days, I felt ready to respond. Me. We need to talk, but not today. I need one more night to think. Marcus. Okay. Whatever you need. I love you. I stared at those 3 words for a long time before typing back. Me. I know you do. The question is whether that's enough. I spent my second night on Emma's couch in a state of restless anxiety, alternating between certainty that I should end things with Marcus and panic at the thought of actually doing it. By morning, I felt like I'd run a marathon in my sleep. "You look terrible," Emma said, handing me a cup of coffee. "Thanks. Just what every girl wants to hear." "I mean it with love. Did you sleep at all?" "Maybe 2 hours." I took a grateful sip of coffee, hoping the caffeine would help clear the fog in my brain. I keep going in circles. One minute I'm convinced that Marcus and I can work through this, and the next minute I'm wondering why I would want to. What's your gut telling you? My gut is telling me to run. My heart is telling me to stay and fight. My brain is telling me both options suck. Emma sat down beside me on the couch. "Can I tell you something?" "Sure." "I've watched you with Marcus for 5 years. In the beginning, you were so happy. You glowed when you talked about him. You were excited about your future together. And now you seem tired. Even before this anniversary disaster, you seemed like you were constantly working to keep the relationship afloat. That's not how love should feel. How should it feel? Easier. Not effortless, but easier. You should feel supported, not like you're constantly having to prove your worth." I knew she was right, but admitting it felt like admitting failure. What if I'm throwing away something good because I'm being too demanding? What if you're finally demanding what you deserve? My phone rang, interrupting our conversation. Marcus's name appeared on the screen, and this time, I answered immediately. "Good morning," I said. "Good morning. Did you sleep okay?" "Not really. You?" "Not at all." His voice was rough, like he'd been crying. "Lily, I know you said you needed another night to think, but I have to ask. Are you planning to come home today?" "I don't know yet." "Can I at least see you? We don't have to talk about us. I miss you." The simple honesty in his voice almost broke my resolve. Almost. "Marcus, if we see each other right now, what's going to happen?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you going to try to convince me that everything's fine? Are you going to make promises you can't keep? Are you going to propose again?" He was quiet for a moment. "I want to convince you to give us another chance. I won't lie about that." "And therein lies the problem." "I don't understand." "You want to convince me. You want to fix this with words and gestures and romantic displays. But Marcus, words don't change behavior. Gestures don't create respect. And romance doesn't build trust. Then what does? Time, consistency, choices made every day that demonstrate your priorities." I stood up and walked to Emma's kitchen window, looking out at the street below. "You can't fix 8 months of taking me for granted with one grand gesture. So what do you want me to do?" "I want you to figure out why you forgot our anniversary. Really figure it out. Not just accept that it was a mistake. I want you to understand why your relationship with Sophia became more important to you than your relationship with me. And I want you to decide, honestly, whether you're willing to make the changes necessary to prioritize our relationship. And if I am willing, then maybe we can try again. But Marcus, I'm not going to wait around indefinitely while you figure it out. I'm not going to be your backup plan while you decide whether I'm worth fighting for. You're not my backup plan. You're the most important person in my life." "No, I'm not. And that's the problem." There was a long pause. When Marcus spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. "What can I do to prove that you are—" "You can start by letting me go." "What?" "You can stop calling me every few hours. You can stop begging me to come home. You can stop trying to convince me to forgive you before you've even figured out what you need to be forgiven for." "You want me to just give up?" "I want you to give me space. I want you to respect my need to think without pressure. And if you can't do that, then you're proving my point about your priorities." Marcus was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. "Marcus? I'm here. This is the opposite of every instinct I have right now." "I know, but your instincts got us into this mess." "Okay," he said finally. "Okay, I'll give you space. But Lily, can you at least tell me, is there a chance? Is there a possibility that we can work this out?" I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of 5 years of history between us. 5 years of love and laughter and shared dreams. 5 years of growing up together. of becoming adults side by side. 5 years that had somehow led us to this moment of painful honesty. There's a chance, I said, but it's going to require both of us to change. And I don't know if we're capable of that. I'm willing to try. We'll see. After I hung up, I felt strangely calm for the first time in days. Emma was watching me from the kitchen doorway, her expression unreadable. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I just jumped off a cliff and I'm not sure if there's water at the bottom." "That's either terrifying or exhilarating." "Both," I said. "Definitely both." The next few weeks settled into an unexpected rhythm. I stayed at Emma's apartment, sleeping on her couch, and slowly rebuilding a life that didn't revolve around Marcus's schedule. It was strange at first, having nowhere to be in the evenings, no one to check in with, no plans that could be canceled at the last minute. True to his word, Marcus stopped calling constantly. Instead, he sent one text message each morning. Nothing dramatic or manipulative, just simple check-ins. "Good morning. Hope you have a good day. Thinking of you. The apartment feels empty without you." I didn't always respond, but I read every message. Work became my refuge. I threw myself into a new marketing campaign for a sustainable fashion startup, staying late in the office and volunteering for extra projects. My colleagues noticed the change, but had the grace not to comment on it directly. "You've been on fire lately," my boss Sarah said, stopping by my desk on a Friday afternoon. "The Henderson campaign is brilliant." "Thanks, I've had some extra energy to burn." Sarah studied my face. "Everything okay at home?" "Define home," I said with a laugh that didn't quite land. "Ah, want to grab a drink and talk about it?" I was about to decline. I'd been avoiding social situations that might lead to questions about Marcus, but something in Sarah's expression stopped me. "Actually, yes, I think I would." An hour later, we were sitting in a wine bar near the office, and I found myself telling Sarah everything. About the forgotten anniversary, about Sophia, about the proposal that felt more like a desperate attempt at damage control than a genuine expression of love. "So where are you now?" Sarah asked when I finished. "Living on my sister's couch, apparently." I took a sip of wine, trying to figure out if 5 years of love is worth fighting for when it doesn't feel like love anymore. "Can I ask you something that might sound harsh?" "Go ahead." When you describe your relationship with Marcus, you talk a lot about what you've put into it. 5 years of love, understanding, support, patience. But what have you gotten out of it lately? I opened my mouth to list all the ways Marcus had been a good boyfriend, but the words wouldn't come. What had I gotten out of our relationship in the past 8 months? Canceled plans, interrupted conversations, and the constant feeling that I was competing for attention in my own relationship. Honestly, not much, I admitted. That's not sustainable, Lily. Relationships can't survive on one person's effort indefinitely. I know, I think I've known for a while, but I kept hoping things would go back to how they used to be. Do you think they can? I don't know. Marcus says he wants to change, but wanting to change and actually changing are different things. Sarah nodded. My ex-husband used to say the same thing every time he had an affair. "I want to change, I'll do better. This will never happen again." But wanting something isn't enough if you don't understand why you behave the way you do. "Marcus isn't cheating on me," I said quickly. "Isn't he? Maybe not physically, but emotionally. He's giving another woman the time, attention, and emotional energy that should be going to you." The words hit harder than I expected because they echoed what Emma and Zoe had said weeks ago, what I'd been trying not to acknowledge to myself. Even if that's true, people can change. People can learn from their mistakes. They can, but they have to want to change for themselves, not just to keep their partner from leaving. And they have to be willing to do the hard work of understanding why they made those mistakes in the first place. I thought about Marcus's texts, always focused on missing me, on wanting me to come home. Never once had he mentioned what he was learning about himself, or what he was doing to address the underlying issues that led to our problems. "He keeps saying he misses me," I said. "But has he said anything about missing us? About understanding what went wrong? About taking responsibility for his role in creating this situation?" "No, it's all about how much he loves me and wants me back." "Love isn't enough, Lily. Love without respect, without priority, without effort. That's just sentiment. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching other couples at nearby tables laugh and talk and share their lives in ways that looked effortless. Can I tell you something? Sarah said eventually. Sure. You seem lighter lately, more confident. Even with everything you're going through, there's something different about you. Different how? You're not constantly checking your phone. You're not making excuses for why you have to leave early or why you can't commit to plans. You're just present. I thought about that. She was right. For the first time in months, I wasn't living my life around someone else's schedule. I wasn't constantly wondering what Marcus was doing or whether Sophia needed something that would take precedence over our plans. That's kind of sad, isn't it? I said. That I seem more like myself when I'm away from the person I love? It's informative, Sarah said gently. It tells you something important about what that relationship was costing you. On the subway ride back to Emma's apartment, I thought about cost. What had my relationship with Marcus been costing me? My peace of mind, certainly. My sense of self-worth. My ability to trust my own instincts. The confidence that I mattered to the person who was supposed to love me most. When I walked into Emma's apartment, she was cooking dinner and humming along to music playing from her phone. It was such a normal, peaceful scene that it made my chest ache. How was your day? She asked without looking up from the stove. Good, productive. I think I'm starting to figure some things out. Yeah? I think I've been afraid of the wrong thing. Emma turned to face me. What do you mean? I've been afraid of losing Marcus, afraid of throwing away 5 years, afraid of starting over. But I think what I should be afraid of is staying in a relationship that makes me feel invisible. And now I'm starting to think that being alone might be better than being lonely with someone else. Emma smiled, but there was sadness in it. That sounds like wisdom talking. Or cowardice. I honestly can't tell the difference anymore. There's only one way to find out. I knew she was right, but knowing what I needed to do and having the courage to do it were two very different things. 3 weeks after moving out, I finally agreed to meet Marcus. Not at our apartment, not at a restaurant loaded with memories, but at a neutral coffee shop in Brooklyn where we'd never been together. I arrived first and chose a table by the window, positioning myself where I could see him coming. When he walked through the door, my heart clenched. He looked thinner, his usually perfect hair slightly messy, dark circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. For a moment, I wavered in my resolve. Then he saw me and smiled. That same smile that had made me fall in love with him 5 years ago. And I remembered why I was here. Hi, he said, sliding into the chair across from me. Hi. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. He'd ordered something, I couldn't see what, but his hands were wrapped around the cup like he was trying to warm himself. You look good, he said finally. Thanks, you look tired. I haven't been sleeping well. He paused. I keep reaching for you in bed and remembering you're not there. Marcus, I know I'm not trying to guilt you, I just miss you. I miss you too, I admitted because it was true. But missing someone isn't the same as being ready to come home to them. What would make you ready? It was the question I'd been dreading and hoping for in equal measure. The question that would determine whether the next few minutes ended in reconciliation or goodbye. I need to know that you understand what went wrong. Really understand it, not just acknowledge that you made a mistake. Marcus leaned forward slightly. I've been thinking about that, a lot. And I think I got so caught up in being Sophia's hero that I forgot to be your partner. That's part of it, but why? Why did being her hero feel more important than being my partner? He was quiet for a long moment, staring into his coffee cup. Because being her hero was exciting. It was dramatic. She needed me in this immediate, urgent way, and it felt important, necessary. And being my partner didn't feel important? No, it did. But it felt stable, secure, like something I could take for granted because you weren't going anywhere. The honesty in his voice was both painful and encouraging. At least he was finally being real about his motivations. So you took me for granted? Yes, I took you for granted, and I took our relationship for granted. I thought love was enough to sustain us while I focused on other things. What other things? Sophia's needs, work pressures, the day-to-day stuff that seemed more urgent than nurturing what we had. I nodded, appreciating his candor, even as it confirmed my worst fears. And now, what's changed? Now I know what it feels like to lose you. Now I understand that love without attention dies, that relationships require active cultivation, not just passive affection. That's a good start, but Marcus, understanding something intellectually and changing your behavior are two different things. I know. That's why I started seeing a therapist. I looked up surprised. You did? Dr. Martinez. I've had 4 sessions so far. She's helping me understand some patterns in my behavior that I didn't recognize before. What kind of patterns? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I have a tendency to avoid conflict in my primary relationships by focusing on external problems that feel more manageable. Instead of dealing with the fact that you and I had stopped communicating effectively, it was easier to focus on Sophia's very clear, solvable problems. And what about Sophia? What's the status there? I told her we couldn't maintain the same kind of friendship if I wanted to rebuild things with you. She agreed to step back and work on developing a stronger support system that doesn't rely so heavily on me. How did she take that? Better than I expected. I think she realized she'd been using our friendship as a way to avoid dealing with her own issues, too. I studied his face, looking for signs of resentment or reluctance, but he seemed genuinely committed to what he was saying. What else? I asked. What else what? What else have you learned in therapy? Marcus took a deep breath. I learned that I have trouble with intimacy. Real intimacy, not just physical closeness. It's easier for me to be someone's hero than to be someone's equal partner because heroism doesn't require the same level of vulnerability. And vulnerability scares you. Terrifies me. Because if I'm vulnerable with you and you reject me, that's devastating. But if I'm keeping a safe distance by focusing on other people's problems, I never have to risk that level of rejection. The insight was deeper than I'd expected from him, more self-aware than I'd seen him be in years of our relationship. So what now? I asked. Now I ask if you're willing to try again. With boundaries in place, with therapy for both of us if you want it, with a commitment to doing the work required to rebuild trust. And if I say no? His face fell slightly, but he maintained eye contact. Then I respect your decision and work on becoming the kind of person who deserves love like yours, even if it's too late for us. I sat back in my chair, processing everything he'd said. It was more than I'd expected from him, more self-reflection and accountability than he'd shown in the 3 weeks since I'd moved out. But was it enough? I have conditions, I said finally. Okay. First, we don't move back in together right away. We date again. We rebuild slowly, with intention. I can live with that. Second, you continue therapy. Not just until we're back together, but as an ongoing commitment to understanding yourself and communicating better. Already planned on it. Third, complete transparency about your friendship with Sophia. I don't want to control who you're friends with, but I need to know what's happening there. No surprise birthday parties, no emergency rescues I don't know about, no emotional intimacy that excludes me. Marcus nodded. That's fair. What else? I need to see consistency over time. Words are nice, but I need to see sustained changes in behavior. If you slip back into old patterns, we're done. No second chances after this second chance. I understand. I looked at him sitting across from me, this man I'd loved for 5 years, who'd hurt me so deeply, but who seemed genuinely committed to change. Could people really transform? Could trust be rebuilt? Could love survive this kind of betrayal and neglect? I don't know if this will work, I said honestly. Neither do I. But I want to try. Do you? I thought about the past 3 weeks. About sleeping on Emma's couch, but feeling more peaceful than I had in months. About rediscovering parts of myself that had gotten lost in the constant effort to keep our relationship afloat. About the possibility of love that felt secure instead of anxious, supportive instead of demanding. Yes, I said finally. I want to try, but Marcus, I'm different now. This experience has changed me. I'm not going to be as accommodating or as willing to make excuses. I'm not going to lose myself in this relationship again. I don't want you to. I fell in love with you, not with some version of you that existed solely to support me. I want to fall in love with you again. Then let's see if that's possible. He reached across the table and took my hand. His skin was warm and familiar, but the gesture felt new somehow, like the beginning of something rather than the continuation of something broken. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure. What made you willing to try again? What changed your mind? I thought about it. You stopped trying to convince me and started trying to understand yourself. You stopped making this about what you wanted and started making it about what needed to change. And you gave me the space I asked for instead of pressuring me to forgive you on your timeline. So basically, I had to learn to respect you in order to earn your respect back. Exactly. We sat there for another hour talking about logistics and boundaries and expectations. It felt like the most honest conversation we'd had in years, maybe ever. When we finally parted ways, I felt cautiously hopeful for the first time since our anniversary. But I also knew that the real work was just beginning. Our first official redate was awkward in the way that first dates often are, except we had 5 years of history making everything simultaneously familiar and strange. Marcus picked me up at Emma's apartment, a gesture that felt both nostalgic and new since we'd been living together for so long that he rarely had to collect me from anywhere. You look beautiful, he said when I opened the door, and the compliment felt earned rather than obligatory. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. He'd put effort into his appearance in a way he hadn't for our regular dates in months. The navy shirt I'd always loved, the cologne he saved for special occasions, hairstyled instead of just combed back. Small things, but they signaled intention. We went to a restaurant we'd never been to before, another deliberate choice to avoid the weight of memory. Over dinner, we talked carefully around the elephant in the room, discussing work and books and current events like people getting to know each other for the first time. This is weird, I said finally, setting down my fork. Good weird or bad weird? I don't know yet. We're being so polite to each other. Marcus laughed, and for a moment he looked like the boy I'd fallen in love with in college. We are, aren't we? I keep wanting to tell you about my day, but then I remember I don't get to do that automatically anymore. You can tell me about your day. We're on a date. That's what people do on dates. So he told me about his work, about a difficult client and a project that was going well. I told him about the sustainable fashion campaign and my boss's offer to let me lead a team on the next major project. We talked like adults sharing their lives rather than roommates making small talk, and it was nice. Different, but nice. Can I ask you something? Marcus said as we shared dessert. Sure. Are you happy? Oh, I mean these past few weeks. Have you been happy? It was a loaded question, and we both knew it. I've been peaceful, I said finally. Which is different from happy, but maybe it's a foundation for happiness. I want you to be happy. Even if things don't work out between us, I want you to be happy. That's very evolved of you. Dr. Martinez says I'm making progress. I smiled. How's therapy going, really? Hard, eye-opening, uncomfortable. He paused, considering his words. She asked me to think about what I was getting out of my friendship with Sophia that I wasn't getting from our relationship. And gratitude. Immediate, obvious gratitude. When I helped Sophia, she was effusive in her thanks. She made me feel like a hero, like I was saving her. With you, I was just Marcus, your boyfriend, doing normal boyfriend things. You wanted to feel special. I wanted to feel needed. There's a difference, but the result was the same. I prioritized the relationship where I felt more essential. I appreciated his honesty, even as it stung. And now I'm learning that being someone's hero is exhausting and ultimately hollow. Being someone's partner is harder work, but more sustainable. More real. That's a good insight. Yeah, well, it only cost me the best relationship I've ever had. Past tense? He looked up from his plate. Is it past tense? I don't know yet. We're still figuring that out. After dinner, we walked through the park near the restaurant. It was early autumn, the leaves just starting to turn, and the air had that crisp quality that made everything feel full of possibility. I have something for you, Marcus said, stopping beside a bench. Marcus, we agreed no gifts yet. We're taking this slow. It's not a gift exactly, it's more of a symbol. He pulled out a small envelope from his jacket pocket. I wrote you a letter. Actually, I wrote you about 20 letters, but this is the only one I'm brave enough to give you. I took the envelope, feeling the weight of whatever was inside. Should I read it now? If you want to, or you can read it later, whatever feels right. I opened the envelope and unfolded a single sheet of paper covered in Marcus's familiar handwriting. Dear Lily, I know I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness, so I'm not going to. Instead, I want to thank you for showing me what it means to love someone enough to hold them accountable. For 5 years, you loved me with patience and understanding and generosity. You supported my dreams, celebrated my successes, and forgave my failures. You made our life together feel easy and comfortable and safe, and somewhere along the way, I started taking that love for granted. I started treating your kindness as a given rather than a gift. I started acting like your understanding was unlimited and your patience was inexhaustible, and I forgot that love is a choice we make every day, not just a feeling we have. I forgot that relationships require tending, like gardens, or they wither even when the soil is rich and the sun is shining. I forgot to choose you every day the way you chose me. I can't undo the hurt I've caused or take back the ways I've failed you. But I can promise to spend whatever time you give me, whether that's another chance or just this one evening, showing you that I remember now what it means to choose someone deliberately, purposefully, gratefully. You deserve to be someone's first choice, not their fallback plan. You deserve to be celebrated, not managed. You deserve love that shows up consistently, not just when it's convenient. I hope I get the chance to give you that kind of love, but if I don't, I hope you find it elsewhere because you are worth fighting for. All my love, Marcus. I read the letter twice, tears blurring my vision by the end. When I looked up, Marcus was watching me with an expression of hope and terror. Thank you, I said softly. This is beautiful. It's true, every word. I know. I folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. Marcus, I need you to understand something. Okay. This letter, this evening, the effort you're making, it means a lot to me. But pretty words and romantic gestures aren't going to fix what's broken between us. The only thing that will fix it is time and consistency and proof that these insights you're having translate into lasting changes in behavior. I understand. Do you? Because I can see in your eyes that you're hoping this is the moment everything goes back to normal. That we have a good date and a meaningful conversation, and suddenly we're okay again. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Maybe I was hoping for that a little bit. But that's not how healing works. That's not how trust gets rebuilt. You're right. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just understand that this is a beginning, not an ending. We have months of work ahead of us if we're going to make this work. Are you saying you want to make it work? I looked at him in the lamplight, this man who had hurt me so deeply, but who seemed genuinely committed to change, who had written me a letter that showed real understanding of what had gone wrong between us, who was in therapy and setting boundaries and doing the work required to be a better partner. I'm saying I want to try, I said, but I'm also saying that trying is not the same as succeeding. We might do everything right and still discover that too much has changed between us to go back. And if that happens, then we'll have learned something valuable about ourselves and about love, and we'll be better people for the next relationship we're in. Even if it's not with each other. Oh, even if it's not with each other. Marcus nodded, and I could see him processing the weight of what I was saying. The possibility that love might not be enough to overcome the damage that had been done. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too, but I think that's appropriate. We should be scared. We're trying to rebuild something that was broken badly. Fear keeps us careful. It keeps us honest. He walked me back to Emma's apartment and kissed me goodnight on the cheek, a gesture that felt both intimate and respectful of the boundaries we were establishing. When can I see you again? He asked. Saturday. We can go to the farmer's market and then maybe see that movie we talked about. It's a date. It's a date. As I watched him walk away, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Cautious optimism. Not certainty, not the breathless excitement of new love, but the steady hope that comes from seeing someone genuinely commit to growth. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. 2 months into our cautious reconciliation, I finally felt ready to address the Sophia situation directly. Marcus had been true to his word about maintaining boundaries. Their communication was minimal and transparent, and he'd politely declined 2 invitations to emergencies that turned out to be non-urgent requests for help moving furniture and assembling IKEA shelves. But I realized I needed closure with her, too, not just for my relationship with Marcus, but for my own peace of mind. I want to talk to Sophia, I told Marcus during one of our Tuesday evening dinners, a new tradition we'd established to ensure regular check-ins about how our rebuilding process was going. Marcus paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. Okay, can I ask why? Because she was a significant part of what went wrong between us, and I need to address that directly rather than just pretending it didn't happen. What do you want to say to her? I don't know yet. That's why I need to talk to her. Marcus set down his fork. Are you planning to confront her? Because I don't want this to turn into some kind of dramatic showdown. I'm not planning to confront her. I'm planning to have an adult conversation with someone who was involved in a situation that nearly ended my relationship. I studied his face. Why does that make you uncomfortable? Because I'm worried you'll say something that damages her recovery process, or that she'll say something that damages our recovery process. Our recovery process can't be built on avoiding difficult conversations, Marcus. And honestly, the fact that you're more worried about protecting Sophia's feelings than supporting my need for closure is concerning. He had the grace to look ashamed. You're right. I'm sorry. Old habits. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. You're still instinctively protective of her, even when it conflicts with what I need. So what do you want from me? I want you to trust that I can handle this conversation without your management or interference. I want you to stop trying to protect everyone's feelings and let people be responsible for their own emotional responses. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay. Do you want me to arrange it, or do you want to reach out to her directly? I'll handle it myself. I texted Sophia that evening, keeping it simple. Hi, I'd like to talk. Are you free for coffee this weekend? Her response came an hour later. Yes, of course. Is everything okay? We'll discuss it when we meet. We arranged to meet at the same Starbucks where we'd had our first conversation months ago. This time, I arrived exactly on time and didn't bother getting there early to stake out territory. I was operating from a position of strength now, not defensiveness. Sophia was already there when I walked in, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffee cups in front of her. She looked different, healthier somehow, less fragile than she'd seemed during our previous conversation. Thank you for meeting me, I said, sliding into the chair across from her. Of course. I got you the same thing as last time. Latte with oat milk and 2 sugars. Actually, I take it with regular milk now, but thank you for thinking of it. It was a small thing, but it felt significant. A tiny assertion that I wasn't the same person I'd been during our last conversation. How are you doing? Sophia asked. I'm well. You look good. Different. I feel different. Therapy has been helpful, and getting some distance from the situation with Marcus has given me perspective on how unhealthy my behavior was. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Sophia straightened slightly, her hands wrapping around her coffee cup. Okay. I need to understand something, I said. When we talked before, you said you were selfish and thoughtless. You apologized for leaning on Marcus too much. But I need to know, did you know what you were doing? What do you mean? I mean, were you genuinely oblivious to the fact that your friendship with Marcus was inappropriate? Or did you know on some level that you were crossing boundaries? Sophia was quiet for a long moment, staring into her coffee. When she looked up, her eyes were honest but pained. I knew, she said simply. The admission hit me like a physical blow, even though I'd suspected as much. You knew. Not consciously at first, but yes, somewhere deep down, I knew that what I was asking of Marcus was more than friendship. I knew that the amount of time and emotional energy he was giving me was excessive. I knew that if I were in your position, I would be uncomfortable with the relationship we had. And you did it anyway. I did it anyway because it felt good to be someone's priority. Because David had made me feel worthless and expendable, and Marcus made me feel important and valued. I was selfish and desperate and lonely. and I told myself that as long as we weren't sleeping together, it wasn't really wrong. But you knew it was hurting me. I suspected it was hurting you, but I convinced myself that if you really had a problem with it, you would speak up. I used your politeness and your trust against you. The honesty was brutal, but somehow cleansing. Why are you telling me this now? Why not stick with the I was oblivious story? Because I've been in therapy for 3 months, and I've learned that I have a pattern of manipulating men's protective instincts to get my emotional needs met without taking responsibility for the impact on their other relationships. You deserved better from me, and Marcus deserved better from me, and I can't move forward without acknowledging that. I sat back in my chair, processing her words. The validation I'd been seeking for months was finally here, but it didn't feel triumphant. It felt sad. What do you want from this conversation? I asked. Nothing. I don't want anything from you, Lily. I wanted to give you the truth and the apology you deserve. I wanted to take full responsibility for my part in what happened. And Marcus, what do you want from him? Space, boundaries, the chance to develop friendships that don't rely on emotional manipulation. She paused. I know this might sound strange, but I'm grateful that you forced this situation to a head. I was spiraling into some really unhealthy patterns, and your ultimatum made me confront behaviors I'd been engaging in for years. How long have you been doing this? Using men's protective instincts to meet your emotional needs? Since college, probably. Maybe longer. I learned early that if I presented myself as helpless and in need of rescuing, certain types of men would rush to save me. It felt like love, but it wasn't. It was codependency disguised as friendship. And Marcus is that type of man. Marcus is that type of man, kind, responsible, with a strong need to feel useful and important. He's attracted to women who need him. Including me? Sophia shook her head. No, that's what makes your relationship different. You don't need Marcus, you choose him. That's why what we had was so threatening to your relationship. He was getting his hero fix from me while having a partnership with you, but the hero dynamic is addictive. It's immediate gratification in a way that partnership isn't. And now I'm learning to meet my own emotional needs and to form relationships based on mutual respect rather than manufactured dependence. And Marcus is learning to find fulfillment in partnership rather than heroism. Do you think it's working, his attempts to change? I think he's trying harder than I've ever seen him try at anything. Whether that translates into lasting change, I don't know. But I do know that he loves you in a way he's never loved anyone else, including me. He was never in love with you? No, he was in love with being needed by me. There's a difference. We sat in silence for a while, the weight of honesty settling between us. I felt something I hadn't expected, a strange kind of sympathy for Sophia. Her manipulative behavior had been wrong, but it came from a place of genuine pain and insecurity that I could understand. I have one more question, I said finally. Okay. If Marcus came to you tomorrow with another crisis, would you let him help you? No. I would thank him for caring and then handle it myself, or find appropriate support from people who aren't in committed relationships with other people. Even if you were genuinely desperate. Especially if I were genuinely desperate. Because that's when the temptation to fall back into old patterns would be strongest. I nodded, satisfied with her answer. I believe you. What happens now? Sophia asked. Now you continue working on yourself, and I continue working on my relationship with Marcus. We probably won't be friends, but we don't have to be enemies. And if Marcus and I run into each other, we do have mutual friends. Then you're polite and cordial and maintain appropriate boundaries. You don't avoid each other completely, but you don't seek each other out either. I can live with that. I finished my coffee and gathered my purse. Sophia? Yeah? I hope you find what you're looking for. Real love, not the manufactured kind. You deserve that. So do you, Lily. I hope you and Marcus make it work. As I walked away from our conversation, I felt lighter than I had in months. Not because Sophia had confessed or apologized, but because I'd finally gotten the complete truth about what had happened. There were no more mysteries, no more wondering about motivations or intentions. Everyone's cards were on the table. Now Marcus and I could move forward with full knowledge of what we were rebuilding from. The anniversary of our anniversary, if that makes sense, arrived on a crisp October morning exactly 1 year after Marcus forgot our fifth anniversary for Sophia's birthday party. This time, he'd been planning for weeks. "Close your eyes," he said, leading me by the hand through what I assumed was our apartment building's hallway. "Marcus, if you've spent a fortune on some elaborate, just trust me, please." I'd moved back in with him 4 months ago, after 6 months of careful dating and rebuilding. It hadn't been easy. There were setbacks and arguments and moments when I wasn't sure we'd make it. But slowly, painfully, we'd learned to be partners instead of just people who loved each other. "Okay, open them." I opened my eyes to find myself on the rooftop of our building, which had been transformed into a simple but beautiful dinner setup. A small table set for two, surrounded by string lights and potted plants. No overwhelming displays of roses, no grand gestures designed to manipulate emotions. Just thoughtful, intimate beauty. "Oh, Marcus, this is perfect." I wanted to do something that honored what we've built this year, not what we lost last year. He pulled out my chair, and I noticed there was a small wrapped box beside my plate. Not ring-sized. We'd talked about marriage and agreed we weren't ready yet, but clearly something significant. "What's this?" "Your anniversary gift, but first I want to tell you something." I settled into my chair, curious and cautiously optimistic. We'd learned to celebrate small victories this year, but anniversaries still carried the weight of our history. A year ago, I forgot our anniversary because I was prioritizing the wrong things. I was choosing immediate gratification over sustained commitment, heroism over partnership, being needed over being present. He paused, looking out over the city lights. "This year, I remembered our anniversary 6 weeks ago. I've been planning this evening for a month. I turned down 3 requests for help from various people, so I could focus on making tonight special for us." And how does that feel? Scary, honestly. The old me would have said yes to at least 2 of those requests and tried to squeeze in our celebration around other people's needs. But also, satisfying. Like I'm finally learning to put my energy where it matters most. Which is here, with you. Building something that will last instead of chasing the high of being someone's temporary savior. I reached across the table and took his hand. "I'm proud of you. This year hasn't been easy, but you've done the work." "We've done the work. You could have walked away, probably should have walked away. Instead, you taught me what it means to love someone enough to hold them accountable. And you taught me what it means to have standards and stick to them, even when it's difficult." Marcus smiled and gestured to the gift box. "Open it." Inside was a beautiful vintage compass engraved with the date of our first anniversary and a simple inscription: "To help us find our way back to each other, always." "Marcus, this is beautiful, but what does it mean?" "It means that I never want to lose my way in our relationship again. I never want to get so distracted by other people's needs or other relationships that I forget which direction leads home to you." I turned the compass over in my hands, feeling the weight of the metaphor. "And if we get lost again?" "Then we use this to find our way back, together." As we ate dinner under the string lights, talking and laughing in ways that felt both familiar and new, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. The forgotten anniversary that had seemed like an ending but turned out to be a beginning. The painful months of separation and rebuilding. The slow, careful work of learning to love each other differently, with more intention, more respect, more awareness of how precious and fragile trust really is. "Can I tell you something?" I said as we shared dessert. "Always." A year ago, I thought love meant being patient and understanding no matter what. I thought it meant accepting whatever scraps of attention I was given and being grateful for them. And now? Now I know that love means expecting to be treated well and walking away when you're not. It means setting boundaries and maintaining them. It means choosing someone every day and expecting to be chosen back. Do you feel chosen now? I looked around at the thoughtful setup, at the man who had spent weeks planning this evening, who had turned down other commitments to prioritize our relationship, who was in therapy and doing the hard work of changing lifelong patterns. And yes, I said, I feel chosen. Do you? Every day, even when we're arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes, I feel chosen. We laughed, and it felt like a small miracle that we could find humor in the ordinary moments, that we could disagree without one of us disappearing into someone else's crisis, that we could be present with each other in ways that felt sustainable rather than desperate. Later that night, as we cleaned up the rooftop together, I thought about Sophia. I'd heard through mutual friends that she was doing well, dating someone new, someone who wasn't attracted to damsels in distress. I hoped that was true. I hoped she'd found a way to be loved for who she was, rather than who she pretended to need rescuing from. No regrets? Marcus asked, following my gaze out over the city. About what? About giving us another chance. About doing the hard work instead of just walking away. I considered the question seriously. There had been moments over the past year when walking away would have been easier. Moments when the weight of rebuilding felt overwhelming. Moments when I wondered if we were just delaying the inevitable, but there had also been moments of genuine connection and growth. Moments when I saw Marcus actively choosing our relationship over easier options. Moments when I felt truly seen and valued in ways I hadn't experienced in years. No regrets, I said finally, but also no illusions. We're not fixed, Marcus. We're just better at being honest about what needs work. And you're okay with that? With the fact that this will always require effort? I'm more than okay with it. I'm grateful for it. The version of us that didn't require effort was the version that took each other for granted. As we rode the elevator back down to our apartment, I caught our reflection in the mirrored walls. We looked different than we had a year ago. Older, maybe, more serious, but also more solid somehow. Like people who had weathered something difficult and survived it together. In our bedroom, Marcus handed me one more thing, a small card. What's this? Read it. Inside, in his careful handwriting, was a simple message. Thank you for teaching me that love is a verb, not just a feeling. Happy anniversary to the woman who chose to stay and fight for us, even when I gave you every reason to leave. Here's to choosing each other, every day, for as long as we both shall want to. For as long as we both shall want to? I raised an eyebrow. That's not very romantic. It's honest. I don't want you to stay with me out of obligation or fear or habit. I want you to stay because you actively choose to stay. And I want to earn that choice every day. And if someday one of us stops wanting to choose this, then we'll have the courage to say so and we'll end things with love and respect instead of letting it rot from neglect. I looked at this man who had learned to speak in truths instead of platitudes, who had developed the emotional vocabulary to say difficult things with kindness, who had shown me that people really could change if they wanted to badly enough. I choose this, I said, kissing him softly. I choose you, today and tomorrow, and as many days as we both want to keep choosing each other. Even when I forget to take out the trash? Even when you forget to take out the trash. But Marcus? Yeah. If you ever forget our anniversary again, I'm not keeping your number this time either. He laughed, pulling me closer. Deal. But you'll never have to find out, because I'm never forgetting again. I deleted Sophia's number for good, but I've got yours memorized in ways that matter now. As we settled into bed together, I thought about numbers. Phone numbers, anniversaries, years spent together, months spent apart, days of rebuilding, hours of difficult conversations, minutes of doubt, seconds of clarity. But the number that mattered most was one. One choice, made new every morning, to love each other with intention and integrity and the hard-won wisdom of people who had almost lost everything and fought to save it. In the end, that was enough. It was everything.